Well, good morning, our beloveds. The dominoes continue to fall. There is a traditional linear succession, but there are also a couple of branches, meaning that one singular line of dominoes will split into two or three. Think of a tree coming from the bottom up. It will ripple out. It may start with one single action on your part, which causes the next domino to fall, and the next, and so forth and so on. But at some point, there will be the equivalent of a fork in the road, and it will actually knock down both, and then knock down both, and then knock down both. There are multiple timelines existing right now because the probabilities are not really strong enough to keep one particular timeline active for most of you. And so when you think of the 3D, 5D split, part of that just simply is that there are many different timelines existing on the same plane, and some will die out when the energetic imprint within that timeline is no longer available or sufficient to sustain it. And the timeline where most of the energy is moving forward, that's the one that will prevail and be remembered. It is difficult for humans to understand because it is not logical or linear, what we are sharing, and yet it is true. But how can we overlap that into your linear way of thinking, which is the tree, right? But there will come a time where many of you go out and you prune the lower limbs, as well as limbs that are growing into the tree or into one another. This is something that is done oftentimes in spring, so that as the tree prepares to grow, that you have trimmed off that which no longer serves it or shouldn't be given any energy. So our message to you is, when you map out the different timelines and experiences and lived expressions. So the best way would be to describe it as your professional world, your personal world, and your family world. Where within that tree mapping would it be prudent for you to prune away branches or twigs that no longer should be sustained because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time? And there's no judgment. And we would say that before you prune a tree, the day before, say, hey, listen, tomorrow I'm going to be pruning some of your branches. I would encourage you to pull your energy back into the trunk so that there's no bleeding or loss. And then I will let you know when I'm done with the pruning. Does this make sense? Interact with the world around you without just blindly doing stuff. Engage with your consciousness as well as the consciousness of those around you. When you recognize that your energy impacts everybody else's and that theirs impacts yours, that is the whole point of the pruning, to say, we're going into a depression right now. Now, depression could be financial, economic, worldwide, more local and regional, or it could be a sadness, difficulty getting out of bed, having momentum conspire you to go act. There are many ways that pulling back energy can be represented. But if you know that the world is going to go into a place of depression, which is just going within, doing your inner work, and reserving the effort and the energy that you express to the outer world because it's just too much and it feels wasteful. When you find these moments of truth, go within, be mindful of your limited energy. If you're going from 100% to 50% or maybe 20%, you do not wish to cast pearls before the swine. Doesn't mean that you don't love them, but if you only have 20 cents instead of 100 cents, where are you willing to give your 2 cents? Others will need to figure it out right now, as will you. We, the collective, are pruning back what matters, what doesn't, what is important, what is not, who we love and care for, and where maybe it was an unhealthy trauma bond, where there is reciprocity and where there is not. You must now be mindful where you overgive and why and what you want to do about it. With your children, presumably, hopefully, you overgive because that's what it is to be a parent, to nurture the next generation, to become competent, loving, giving individuals. So there should be no reciprocity there. It should be given faithfully, lovingly, because that is your promise to the universe when you have a child, to protect it from predators, to teach it what is required for sustainability, for safety, for creativity and curiosity. That is your responsibility. But with others, you must be mindful. If you only have 20 cents to give, where can you afford to give your 2 cents? Pull your energy back right now, just to see how it feels when you are giving very little to the world, so that you can remember what it is to call back all of your parts that you have access to right now. And then sit in the knowing and trust in the knowing that all is well, all is well, all is well, even when Rome burns. There is cosmic justice occurring, and to a certain extent, you, the individual, are no longer required because the collective is going to carry forward the momentum of what is required to burn off what is no longer serving humanity. And it may mean that many of you do get singed because you are a little too close to the fire. But many and most of you will survive, and some won't. So don't sit with, I must save everybody. You cannot. Who can you embolden to protect themselves? And who can you literally protect by putting your bird wings out and allowing others to come nestle under you? There is only so much room, so much energy, and so much love to give. So choose and choose wisely. Find those either who are nearest and dearest to your heart, or possibly find those who are the most vulnerable, where others will not show up for them, where they have no chance of survival. Find those few where you want to make a difference in their lives, and let the others save everyone else. If there is a fire in your home, in your community, most items will be lost. So choose carefully what you wish to take with you on this next journey. What matters and what really doesn't. What are just material goods that you bought to make you feel good and then set on a shelf with all the other things that you don't actively use? Find community, collective energy, compassion, collaboration, and most importantly, creativity. When you are forced to reinvent the wheel because the old one died, you will maybe invent an even better wheel, because you will have learned from past experience where the former model or prototype was good but not great, would break down, get flat tires, maybe improve upon the technology so that the broken material goods that you have right now will last longer, because the goal is not profitability but sustainability. Find companies that focus on future development instead of future profitability. Find those who are aligned with sustainability as well as love for the average human being. And then put your collective consciousness into the ether with everyone else to problem solve. It matters. If you feel comfortable telling a tree to pull its energy back because you're going to prune it tomorrow, then you trust that this type of conversation in your head, this type of intentionality, makes a difference, or at least in your world, makes a difference. And then live according to those principles, that magic is real, that you can communicate with other sentient beings as well as life forces and become the witch that you have always wanted to be when you were a child. Where were your magical powers? And what were they focused on? Saving a bird or a bunny or your mom who had cancer? Keep believing that your prayers and your request for a better future matters. Don't just live in the material world. The energetic world that you lived in when you were younger, before that was programmed out of you, it is real. And that is why the children are the closest to the kingdom of God, because they have not lost their innocence, their willingness to move mountains in their minds, because they don't have limiting beliefs yet, beyond the obvious that they can't fly, things like that. Though some of you did believe you could fly when you were children. Find the magic in the world, and we mean the real magic, not the Santa. Where is it that the universe speaks to you? Where is it the universe confirms to you your biases? Where is it that the universe tells you you're not safe? Pay attention. That is either your intuition or the cosmic field sharing something with you. And this is a time where more and more of you are coming online and your intuition is increasing. But it is so unfamiliar because you have set it aside. Trust that it matters. Believe in magic, the good magic, versus the black magic. And engage it only in holy and sacred endeavors, not to harm others, but only to protect others. Does that make sense? Find truth in what you do, honesty and integrity, because those who hold this knowledge sacred will receive special blessings in the here and the now and in the afterlife, from the perspective that you will have learned more of your cosmic lessons and will be applying them not only in this lifetime, but in the next. The goal is evolution, adaptation, and acoustics. You are becoming a being of sound, of light, and of frequency. And so it is. Namaste.